Hey, what's up, guys? It's Nicholas Davenport, aka Mr. Mental Muscle, and welcome back to the Mind Body One channel. Now, today we're going to talk about memory. Now, what comes to mind when you think about memory? Usually people describe memory, they're talking about long-term memory. Now, if it's not long-term memory, they're probably talking about short-term memory. But what about working memory? Are you familiar with that term? Now, working memory doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's a very integral part of how our brain makes sense of the world and processes things so you can do what you need to do, whether it's planning something out, making decisions, solving a question, an equation, driving, working, everything. Working memory is basically the ability to hold information in real time and manipulate it for usage so you can do what you need to do. Now, for example, let's say I give you a phone number, 954-708-8792. Now, think about that. I need you to remember that. So what's the first thing that you might do? Do you repeat it in your head over and over and over again? If you did, that's an example of working memory. Now, you might see it in your mind's eye and you're seeing the actual digits 954-708-8792. Let's see if you can remember that at the end of the video. Keep that in your mind. But the point is, working memory allows me to manipulate information while things are going on because we're taking in stimuli all the time. Now, when we talk about short-term memory, working memory falls under that category, but regular short-term memory is just being able to hold it for about 30 seconds or so, then it's either filtered in and consolidated, or it's filtered out and you forget it. Like if I was to say, hey, my name's Nick, I meet you at a party. You say, hey, Nick, nice to meet you, shake my hand. You don't think twice about it, you go about your day. But let's say you see me in about 2 months and say, hey, what's up, John? You look at me like, hey, you don't remember my name. It's not because you didn't care who I was, screw Nick. It's the fact that you didn't commit it to memory in the first place and it didn't get encoded. So getting to my point, we need to work on our working memory. And the beauty is, just like any other skill, it can be trained and it can be worked on. But how do we do this? So before we even get on how we do it, let's break down some more of the science and the components that go with working memory. Let's start off with the central executive. Think about like an actual CEO. You have someone running a business, they got to control the profit margin, seeing what they need to do for the next quarter, seeing the vision of the marketing direction, a lot of moving parts. That's exactly how working memory goes. Now there's 3 components of working memory that are called the slave systems that go under the central executive, which is the phonological loop, the visual spatial sketchpad, and the episodic buffer. Now how this all works, the phonological loop, we'll start there. Now, remember when I said to repeat that phone number over and over again so you can remember it? If you're saying it in your head, that's the phonological loop. This is the auditory way so you recall and recite the information within your head. You can see how key this is because we use it all the time when we're thinking in our own mind, or we're trying to remember something, or we're reading. We're gonna hear the actual words being said to ourselves, and that's gonna help us consolidate the information. Now, the visual spatial sketchpad. Now, it kind of says what it is: visual, spatial, and the sketchpad. So it's actually how your mind visually depicts the information that you're taking in or trying to recall. So for example, let's say that I was describing an address to get to and you're like, where's that by? And I'm saying the street names and I give you a clue of, well, there's a red building at the corner. So you might see in your mind's eye an actual red building on the corner of the street. So you can see, oh, when I get there, you recall it. So you see how it helps you in real time? Or look at it like picture in picture. I'll give you another example. So like a quarterback who sees a play unfolding in real time, that's what he sees. But in his head, he has to recall and make sense of where's the receiver's gonna be, where should his blockers be standing. So when he does need to throw the ball and make a decision, he knows how to adjust to what's happening in the moment, but also take in what he already knows from the long-term memory. Now, that kind of segues perfect to the episodic buffer. Now, look at this as an on and off exit ramp of information from your long-term memory storage to what's happening in real time, because for that to be consolidated for long-term usage, you have to take constantly what's going on in real time and it has to go into long-term memory and be consolidated, because over time, you do it enough, it stays long-term. So these 3 systems work in conjunction in real time so you can make sense of the world around you and manipulate information. Now, I'm gonna teach you how to improve this because there's so many aspects of why working memory is important. Now, social situations, when you're talking to someone, you need to be able to take in that information, hear them, figure out what they're saying, process it, and send it back out with a response. That's working memory at its finest in a social situation. Now, if you have more working memory capacity, you'll be better at doing that task. And people talk about like introversion, extroversion. Extroverted people tend to have higher working memory. Wonder why? Because they can take in more stimulus. The more stimuli you can take in, the better. And now you can make sense of other things that's going on. You're not overwhelmed. That's truly what happens when someone's introverted. They're just being overwhelmed by stimuli. They can go on the scene, they can interact, but they're not going to be able to take it all in because they're getting to the point where I need a little break. What about decision making or performance? When I need to make a choice and there's something coming at me quick, fast, I need to be able to say, wait, stop, what's going on over here, what's going on over there, split it, then attend to both as quick as possible, and then make my decision. In sport, you're gonna see this as you have multiple defenders. If you see this in like work, you gotta have a deadline due, but you still have to do what you're doing in real time or answer the phones, whatever it may be. But the point is, what am I doing in real time? Can I shift that attention? And that's gonna add to my performance. And another part I'll talk about is stress and anxiety. Someone gets overwhelmed easy, they can't take in too much, they get overloaded, so they can't process on the solution. They figure, oh, what's the quickest route to what I'm doing? It's gonna be the negative, oh, it's just the worst case scenario. Think about people who stress a lot. That's typically how they think. So we need to combat this. Now let's talk about a way we can improve our worker memory. And I gotta give shouts out to Adam the Bioneer. He gave me access to this program called BioMind, and I love it. And he created this app himself. Now it works on worker memory by giving you colored squares that are red, green, or white. You have to keep count of what you see. So on this task, we're gonna ignore the green squares and we're gonna make sense of what we see or the red or white squares. Now the goal is, once you see 5 of whichever color, you're gonna hit the key. But the thing is, you gotta remember both of them in real time. Now I'm gonna give you a little secret how I did this. So I did something called chunking. Chunking is holding information and grouping it together versus trying to remember each individual piece. Now, if I was to say, every time I saw a color square, red or white, I would be red 1, red 2, white 1, red 3, white 2. That's a lot to remember. You're talking about up to 10 digits, right? 10 things you have to remember. But with chunking, I'm grouping them together. So instead of going red 1, red 2, white 1, white 2, I just remember red, I'm gonna consolidate to the first number, and white, I'm gonna consolidate to the second number. So in my head, when I see that color square, I'm just going 1, 2, 2, 1. So now I think of 2, 1 as in red 2, white 1. So I'm not remembering every single thing. I just know that the left side is designated for the red, the right side is designated for the white, and I know what to do. And that 5th one comes up, I hit the key and I restart it. Now I'm at 0 and whatever was the other one. So I just switch it off. So this chunking helps. You can do this in so many different ways. Like say for a phone number, I gave you one earlier on this video and there's 10 digits to remember. So users a 3-digit area code, 3-digit second set, and 4 digits. So you can remember it all at once, 10 digits, it's 10 things to remember, or you can divide it 5 and 5, or you can do the 3, 3, and 4. But the point is, the how you group it up is gonna make the difference. You can do this with lists, with words, you can do it with a lot of things. So it saves the capacity for you to work on it. So I'm gonna show me doing the drills. You can see how it works in real time. Now, that task was much more challenging than it looks. Of course, you got the good takes, but I did mess up a few times. So shouts out again to Adam, the Bioneer. Bioneer is a great channel. He has so much content. He does video essays where he describes fitness, mental training, mental health. He covers a lot of topics. That's why it was great to connect with, and I gotta collab on something with him again. So shouts out to the Bioneer. Check out his channel. Now, thanks guys for tuning in. Working memory, like I said, is a big part of how we process and make sense of information, but it's only one part of the many aspects of the brain and mental performance, how we always get your mind right. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and see you later.